Hey, have you been trying to figure out how you're going to get your family up out of America, out of the belly of the beast, and into a more humane and natural lifestyle? If you are, you're in a good place because that is my specialty. That is my background. My name is Imara Ifawuyi, and I live in Sao Paulo, Brazil, with my two older children. And, this isn't a new experience for us. I have been traveling with my children for a number of years, probably. I started traveling with my eldest child when she was one and going and living in other countries and different islands around the world. And so she is 21 now as of this weekend. So, it's been a long time. And I like to come on here and just give, especially the mamas, some tips on how to prepare for leaving America, how to prepare for the things that will come. Number one, the most important thing that you will need to really establish if you are looking to leave the country and do something else with your children, move to another land, find somewhere where you can feel more of a sense of freedom and a better quality of life than you do in the U.S. The first thing you're going to have is like a resolve about what you're doing. You have to have a resolve. You have to know that no matter what the naysayers say, because there's going to be people who are like, why are you leaving? Why are you running? And no matter what judgment might come up, you know that you are going towards something that is going to increase the quality of life of you and your children. And that is the most important thing, right? So you're going to have that resolve. If you're, wavering at all about it, or you feel like it's something that, it's too risky, might not be a good option for you, then it just kind of indicates that you're not quite ready to even embark on that, right? Because once you get out there, it's a lot. There's a lot of resourcefulness that's going to need to be in place, a lot of mental resolve, a lot of strength of character that you'll have to pull on, especially as a single mother, who is the one that is navigating everything. And so it's important that, you're very clear about what you're doing. And that's the number one thing. You really need to do a lot of writing. It's a good idea to journal and write, write out what you want your life to look like, as opposed to what it's looking like now. But also, write out kind of the pros and cons of the move, what will be the good of finding another country to accept you, that you can live in for long term with your family, and what will be some of the challenges. And these things, you can kind of see them ahead of time, but also a lot of these things will come as you are trying to acclimate and get adjusted where you're going. You'll start to understand that it's going to be a mixed bag. There's going to be a lot of good aspects and a lot of not so great aspects to what you're doing, right? So it's going to take a lot of adjustment. For me, it was always what I had to do. I never felt comfortable in the U.S. I always found it to be a strange culture. So, in a certain way, I was a fish out of water since I was a young girl. And so for me, it was like, it's just what I had to do. So I didn't overthink anything when I was doing it. When I started traveling, it was just like, I'm out. I know I'm going to be good wherever I go. And I did it with that kind of audaciousness. I was a younger woman, you know what I mean? Times were not as precarious and strange as they are now. And so for me, it was just what I had to do. I did it. And once I did it once, that was it. I knew no matter where I went, me and my children were going to be straight. And, and I know that other women will have the same experience. Doesn't mean, again, there won't be pitfalls, but, it is important that you go ahead and if it's for you, you go ahead and you make that move at some point, right? So, the second aspect of this is that you have to, be a planner, but don't over plan. And I say that because a lot of times we, as mothers, get into trying to stabilize things to make sure that, the children don't have to experience anything that will be unpleasant. So we guard them and we try to protect them. But the fact of the matter is that, quite honestly, you won't be able to predict all the things that will come once you move to a new place. And so that sense of need of controlling and, really, really controlling circumstances has to kind of be put to the side. You're going to have to tap into a measure and an amount of flow and fluidity, as well as planning and, the capacity to kind of organize things. And so fluidity is very key. Start doing your yoga, start doing things that will start to program you, your body and mind with being fluid, being flexible, because you're going to need to be flexible when you get out here in the world and things are being thrown at you. Things are happening. People are speaking in different languages. Cultural realities are different. Service is different. Everything is just kind of different in other places. Bon dia. You're going to have to be flexible and non-judgmental, really. Not judging is an aspect of being flexible, because you understand, okay, this person has a different cultural upbringing and a different way, and it's based in different things, and I'm just going to accept it for what it is. It doesn't mean I don't defend myself. It doesn't mean that I don't question things or that I can't feel a way about stuff, but you still have to be flexible, and you have to understand when you come somewhere else, you're coming somewhere else. It's not going to be America. Things are not going to be done like in the U.S. And so that's very important. Okay. Here's my neighborhood here in Sao Paulo. Super tree laden, full of trees. It's a little slice of the jungle in the city. Something else that I feel like people need to really consider when they are, looking to move abroad, looking to take their children abroad, especially mothers, is that you're going to have to let certain things go. So, for instance, obviously when we're in our home countries and stuff, there's family, there's friends, there's people that we can rely on, that we can trust to help us. You know what I mean? And when you move to a new place, obviously you become a little bit more distant from those things, right? And so you have to really have a lot of trust in yourself that you'll be able to, one, create new community somewhere else. Okay, you'll need to be able to create new community, and also trust that those relationships will still remain intact despite distance. So there will be no love loss, but it's not going to be as close and up and personal as it was when you were living there, and that just is what it is. And so a lot of women, especially if you are very connected to, a big social circle in the U.S., it's going to be very hard to disconnect from that, especially with children. And so we don't do these moves with ease. It is challenging. I had a big community in the Virgin Islands of nice women and just real support system. I felt like I had like extended family there in a certain way, even though we weren't from there. And so it was very difficult for me, especially for my son, to lose some of his friendships, and not lose them, but it's hard to maintain friendships and relationships over distance after a time, right? And so it has been hard for him because Brazil has not been that easy for him socially. And so he feels the loss of those relationships and that community even harder. And so you'll need to deal with things like this sometimes. That has been one of the negative aspects of us moving to and living long-term here in Brazil, is that my son has, lost certain connections that he had in the Caribbean, which is where he mostly has grown up. And so, you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared for some of the ups and downs. Does it mean my son does not like Brazil, that he hates it here, that he's miserable? Not at all. I mean, he recognizes the quality of life that we have here, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he lost some things. And I had to make an executive decision as a parent. either stay in this island that we love very much, but it just was way too violent, and knowing my son was getting ready to be up high school age and having to be maneuvering on his own and coming into his own as a man, did I really want him, in some violent place, in some violent school, somewhere where I wouldn't even be comfortable for him to be out and about that much? It just felt like a bad situation for him coming of age, right? So I had to make some decisions to come here. Now, sometimes I'm like, man, it would be easier though out there. I could put him in a private school easier and he'd have more community in this very, very vital time. But, at the end of the day, you're always balancing. You're always trying to figure out what's going to be the best thing, the safest thing. I think safety and security is really important when you have a family. And we need to be considering this. I think a lot of us put that out of the picture and we just throw our kids somewhere. We send them off to these evil ass schools. We do all these crazy things, especially in the US, and don't think about it. And then when the school gets shot up or there's bomb threats, bombs, all these things, and everybody's in panic mode. And it's like, yeah, but we really should have been figuring out alternatives the whole time, whether it's homeschooling, unschooling, whatever you want to do. Anything is probably better than putting them in those programming camps. And so these are kind of some of the things that, you live and you learn. So yeah, I'm just grateful for all of that, all the lessons I've had. But these are the 3 points that I would say are really important for mothers to consider as they are, looking to move abroad, looking to do something different with their children, that could, in reality, be very challenging on some ends, but also very, very rewarding, like incredibly rewarding. Seeing your children learning new languages, learning how to socialize with different types of people, gaining that social and cultural acumen, like really tapping into themselves as sovereigns that don't have to be in somebody's school to feel like they are doing something, but like feel like they can create their lives for themselves, which is all part of the resourcefulness that comes from, living outside the box and doing things differently. So it is really important, I think, to at least consider it. If it has come to you that you may, do better in another country, at least consider it, but also consider some of the internal and the character development that's going to be required, right? So that's it. Thank you for coming through. If you could put a like on the video, that would be great. I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I have some stuff I've got to do this morning. But I also wanted to let y'all know that we do coaching and consultations with people who are looking to kind of get some support in planning their moves abroad. Again, I've been doing this for over 20 years now with children. So helping you plan. Also, if you're coming to Brazil, we help plan tours, particularly city tours and day tours, and that we provide here in Sao Paulo. And yeah, I'll put some links down below. You can get in touch with me about anything. I'm also a wellness coach, so I do provide services, especially to perimenopausal women. So my focus is on womb wellness and change of life, midlife support. So if you need any support in any of those things, I'll put some links below. Peace and love.